What's up guys, David here, hope you're having a great day. In this video I'm going to do a semi-scientific experiment on sample rates. There's a lot of very good and most important updated literature on this subject, but after my last video on sample rate I noticed a lot of people has a lot of questions still, and maybe in another video I will try to talk about the potential problems that can arise mixing a super high sample rate some other time. In this one we are going to do a little test. It's going to be semi-scientific like I said because it's limited to one DAW, Pro Tools, and it's also going to be limited to only in the box and pre-existing tracks. But nonetheless, I'm going to take the same mix. Actually it's a master. One is an HD 88.2 24-bit. The other one is CD standard 44.1 16-bit. Process both with plugins and then do a null test. And then we're going to do the same by importing both files 88.2 and 44.1 in a 44.1 project. Do the same exact processing with plugins and then null test the other two. Let's go. Hello everyone, welcome back to MixPlus TV. Hope you guys are having a great day. Before we start, check the info box down below for free plugin special discount and offers, and go to mixplustv.com to book mix and mastering with me and find all the mix and mastering courses. There's 2 new ones. In there you can also book private lessons, mix consultations, and all the other services. If you want to access the exclusive videos here on YouTube, click the join button, become a MixPlus TV member and get all the perks. And finally, if the videos are helping you, please consider using the super thanks or grab some merch. Let's get to the video. Now for this one I'm gonna use Bella Kelly's Goodbye. We have 2 masters, the CD standard and the HD. As you can see here, if I go to get info, you can see the HD is a 88.2 24-bit and the CD is of course a 44.1 16-bit. If I go to session, we can see that the session is 88.2 24-bit. Now when I'm gonna import these 2 tracks on the 88.2 project, you can see is already doing it. Pro Tools is converting the CD standard, so 44.1 16-bit, to 88.2. But as we explained in the previous videos on sample rate, it's not really upsampling the file. It's just adding zeros to the 44.1 16-bit file. The file itself does not change, doesn't get any better, okay? While instead on the HD you saw it imported it natively, so to speak. It didn't change anything, okay? So let's change color. Let's make the CD green and the HD pink so we can recognize them. And of course this is a finished already released song, so the goal here is not to make it any better, but it's just to apply some processing only with plugins and then bounce them both and do a null test. First of all, because they are mastered, I'm gonna lower the level, let's say by 5 dB on both, and I'm gonna use a variety of plugins. Let's say I wanna use some saturation. I'm gonna use Kelvin, and I'm just gonna use random stuff. I'm just gonna do basic movements. Again, we're not gonna try to make it sound any better, so I'm gonna just bump the stage 1 and stage 2 to 5 dB just to add a little. Alright, I'm gonna copy this on the HD file, so exact same settings. I'm gonna now add a little bit of EQ. I'm gonna also use a variety of brands for this in no specific order. I'm gonna use the Pultec UAD, bump it up to here. I'm gonna copy this one as well on the other track. Let's do a multi-band, so we have filters, we have something a little more complex, so to speak. Again, we're not trying to make the song sound better. Alright, we have some gain reduction going, and then I'm gonna add some clipping. Okay, clip 3, I'm just gonna clip like 1 dB or something. You know what you're doing, you know how you move. That's about right, and we copy this one as well. And then finally I'm gonna use some limiting. I'm gonna use Ozone Maximizer. We're gonna just do 1 dB, and we're gonna use Modern. You know what you're doing, you know how you're moving. 1.2, that's fine. Let's back off at 1, put it on the other track as well. So the first thing is, let's hear the difference between the 2 files if we flip the phase. I'm gonna use a limiter to raise the level here. Right, we have some digital noise, we have the Dette noise. Notice that this particular song, one of the reasons because I picked this one is because it was mastered completely in the box. The mix was full analog, but the mastering stage didn't really need much, so the project was all digital and the export was simply different sample rate and different bit rate. Now, because we're going to do the same in a project of 44.1 and compare the differences, I am going to have to export all of these at 44.1. For that, I'm going to put Dette on, and I'm going to leave those on default settings. I'm not going to change anything other than auto blanket. I'm going to put this one here. I'm going to do the same on the other track, and we are going to commit to the insert for the CD, and we are going to commit to the insert for the HD version as well. Now we're going to export clips as files, both of them as 16-bit and 44.1. This is what I meant at the beginning. Now we are relying on Pro Tools export, in this case in different format, so that's why I said other DAWs could give different results. Now I'm going to make these tracks inactive, and we are going to copy the session, which now is at 88.2, and make it a 44.1. And I'm not going to bring the audio. I just want the plugins with the settings and everything else. I'm going to re-import the audio in from scratch. Here's the session. Let's make sure 44.1, 24-bit, and we are going to re-import the two songs. So right now it's going to do the opposite. It's going to modify the HD file, as you can see at the bottom, as opposed to what it did before. With the CD version, we're gonna drop the volume again by 5 dB like we did in the first session, and we have again the same processing that we had before.
Trust Raygun by love. I'm sick of this game. I'm sick, let me.
Right, same thing for both, and we're going to do the same. We're going to commit, so we don't care anymore about the originals with the processing on, but we do want to import now those two tracks that we had before. And these are just shorter because I shortened the processing because we don't really need the whole song to do this test. But let's see. Let's start putting a trim plugin for the phase flip. So the green one is 44 into 44. This is 44 into 88, and then exported again at 44. Let's make it a darker green so we know that both original 44.1 files are that color. And then we have the 88 into 88. We'll make it a little darker as well. And then we have 88 into 44. All right, so let's start flipping phase and hearing the differences. These are the two 44.1 files. Let's boost the volume a little bit. All right, so there's a lot. These were originally the same exact files. Remember, one has been imported in a 44.1 native and then is still here. The other one has been converted to 88, processed, and then re-exported. And we have a lot of residue. And we had the same exact plugin chain. What this could possibly say? This could possibly say what I've been saying in previous videos, that plugins might work differently and might sound different at a higher sample rate, no matter what the source file is, right? Let's do the same exact thing on the 88.2 files. All right, and again, we have a lot of residue in these two as well. Now let's try combination 44 kept at 44 versus 88 brought into 44. All right, and this one gives us 0 basically residue, only Dette noise. And if you think about it, this is normal because we turned an 88.2 file into 44 and then process it against one that was already a 44. So when we imported it into Pro Tools downgraded it to exactly the one at 44, and because it was the same mix master in the box, we only have as a residue Dette. Now let's try instead the 88 into 88 exported at 44.1 versus the 44.1. All right, there is a lot of residue, a lot of difference. We tried the 44 into 88. So again, what we are seeing is that the tracks processed at 88 have residue compared to the ones that are processed at 44.1. If we compare the 44.1 turned into 88, we have no residue left other than noise. If you compare the 44.1 into 88 versus the 88 into 44, we again have residue. So this tells us what? That the processing the plugins apply changes whether we work a 44.1 or 88. And this was the question that many people were asking. If I only work in the box, should I still work a higher sample rate if my mix is 44.1? And my answer was yes, because of this reason, right? We can do another test and we can export, just to be fair, this one and then re-import it again. And we do the same for this. And we're gonna put them closer, we're gonna leave them blue so we know that those are the copies. So these are the two 88s. And they pretty much null other than Dette noise. And same is gonna be for these two. Same Dette noise, which is a different kind of noise if we play the 88 into 44 versus the 44 into 44. Right, this is the noise that we have versus this, right? It's much lower, different type of noise, right? If you can hear it, you can also clearly hear it. So this is a digital copy, and the only difference is when we export is the digital Dette applied. So where is one of the flaws and the limitations of this test? It's that in order for you to do a test like this, you should have a way to record the same exact file with the same converter, with the same everything, at 44.1 versus 88, and then compare that, which would be possible. And then hear the differences with a null test, and then do this test again with the two files. But at that point, it becomes borderline impossible to know where the differences between the source files come versus the processing. In this case, we are basically using the same file, right? Because I mastered the mix in an 88.2 project, and then of course in one we exported it at 88.2, 24-bit with the Dette applied accordingly, and then the other one, CD standard 44.1, 16-bit with the Dette accordingly. But the processing was all in the box, was the exact same. It was done at 88.2. In this case, we imported and we did the processing at two different sample rates, and the two different sample rates showed us that the plugins do actually process differently when you work at a different sample rate. This is not the only limitation and the only flaws of this test. This is a very, I want to scratch the surface test, and there are many variables that can be argumented and that can be discussed. That's why I said this was going to be a semi-scientific test. This would be to have a much longer discussion, a much deeper testing, not just with a null test, and it will become very nerdy very fast. So this was just for fun. And you can take this and do experiments on your own and see what you find out. Comment the comments down below and let everybody know. But this is it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like. Go to the website mixbystv.com to book mix and mastering with me. Find all the mix and mastering courses and book all the other services. If you want to access the exclusive videos here on YouTube, click the join button, become a MixBuzz member, get all the perks. And if the videos are helping you, please consider using the super thanks or grab some merch. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe. See you next time.